I'm not hunting today. In fact, we're taking a few days off right during the middle of November here, just maybe a 3 or 4 day break. The deer haven't been moving that great, plus we had other work that we had to do. Drake was starting to get a little bit burned out. I was getting a little bit burned out. So this is a good time to talk about this new bow from Hoyt. This is the RX-4 Ultra, and I've been shooting the RX-3 Ultra. So I've got the next generation. This is the 2020 bow that Hoyt just released probably about a week ago. So I'm shooting it, getting it ready. When I'm back in the field again, this is the one I'm going to be shooting.
Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by RK Tractors, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, Wasp Archery, Spot Hog Releases, RTP Outdoors, America's Best Bowstrings, Hoyman Tree Saws, and Realtree.
So I'm going to talk real quick about some of the features that are different between the RX-3 and the RX-4, and then just go over in general some of the aspects of the bow that I like. So the main two differences between the 3 and the 4 are the cam system and the rest system. In the cam, this is the ZTR, and it's a little bit smoother than the cam system that was on the RX-3. But the biggest feature that I like about it is that the backside of the modules, they have I guess you call it a solid stop or a foot. So when you pull around, that makes contact with the cable, and it gives you a really, really solid back wall. Before they had those draw stop pegs that you had to move around. Whenever you moved a module, you had to move the draw stop peg. Now the draw stop is built right into the module, and it's a rock solid back wall. And I like that because I like to pull into the back wall when I shoot. And if it's spongy, then you lose that sense of, you know, having a really specific anchor point. So that's like I said, a key feature. The other one is this rest, and they call it the Integrate MX. And on this bow, it's set up with an ultra rest style, you know, with the flipper that comes up, the two-prong flipper. This is the drop away rest. You know, when you shoot the bow, it pops down, of course, and clears the path so the arrow fletching flies through real clean. You don't get fletching contact, so you get a lot better arrow flight. But, I mean, that's not the universal or the innovative part. The new aspect of this is the way it attaches to the bow. The bow has a plate built into it, and the rest fits into that. There's a dovetail slide that the rest fits into, so you get 3 points of contact between the bow and the rest, and it really locks it in solid. But it's also still micro adjustable, so you can loosen certain screws, and then there's dials on here you can turn to move the rest up or down or left and right. So it makes adjusting the bow and tuning it and setting it up really quick, really precise. I set this thing up, it took me about 3 hours probably total from the time I got the bow out of the box and, you know, started playing with it until I was shooting it comfortably with all the, you know, the parts working correctly. That's a pretty fast setup for me, but the thing I liked best about it was how quickly it tuned. I had 4 arrows to get this thing from shooting relatively tail low. I was probably 1.5 inches tail low through the paper, and that was because I mistakenly set it up with the D-loop too low on the string. So I moved it up, and then that fixed the tail low part, and I was still getting a tail left tear. So I changed my grip just a little bit, and then it was, you know, the tail left went away, and I was making a perfect bullet hole. So it took 4 arrows. Now I just have to remember to, you know, use the correct grip, because I get into bad habits with my grip. I can get really too deep into the grip and get too much wrist bend. You know, as long as I can keep my hand more neutral, then, you know, I get a lot better arrow flight. So those were the key points of getting the bow set up. I was impressed with that, how quickly it tuned. So let's look at some of the other features. This is the hollow carbon tube riser, which is the same as what they've had now for a number of years. They've got some vibration dampeners on the riser, I guess on the lower end. The bottom limbs are a little bit spread further, and the weight is a little bit low on the bow. So you wouldn't have to have a stabilizer. I mean, I've got the fuse stabilizer on here, but it shot just fine without a stabilizer. So those are the main differences between the RX-3 and the RX-4. Like I said, I shoot this thing better than I expected with just so little amount of time, putting it together. So I've gone through some of the specs and some of the features. Now I want to give you my final thoughts on shooting the bow. I feel like it's got a lot of aspects of the bow to reduce vibration, but these carbon riser bows are dead in the hand anyway. They don't transmit vibration nearly as much as a metal riser bow does. So that feels really good. There's not a lot of jump in the bow just because the limbs are parallel. So this one recoils down, that one recoils up, and they cancel. So you don't get that forward jump of the bow. It's quiet. And I think that overall it's smoother, and I really like that solid back wall at full draw. And I really like the Ultra too, because I have a longer draw to begin with, but I've always liked longer bows. They make more sense to me because they are more stable. You move mass away from the center point, it just makes it harder to turn or to cant or tip the bow during that moment when you're releasing the string. So typically the heavier a bow is and the longer it is, the more forgiving it's going to be. Obviously we don't want to carry a bunch of weight, but I do like the fact that this one's a little bit longer. So those are the takeaways on shooting the bow. Hoyt is making or has made several other 2020 bows, so you can check it out on their website, Hoyt.com. They've got a couple other RX-4 bows. I can't remember, I think one is the Alpha and I can't remember the other one. And then they've got some new aluminum bows too. So take a look at them, go to your Hoyt dealer and test fire a few of them yourself. I'm going to be carrying this one into the field next week when we start hunting again. I'm excited about that. I'm shooting it pretty well now. Give me 1 or 2 more days to kind of fine tune every last part of it, and I should be good to go. Hopefully the bucks will be back moving again. They won't be locked down with the does. This will be more towards the tail end of the estrus, and we should start to see more general movement of bucks, and hopefully we can start to pick them off coming back to food again too. So I want to leave you with the thought, just go to your Hoyt dealer, check it out there, or you can get a lot of good information at the Hoyt's website, Hoyt.com.